Hey guys, welcome to this most recent vid doc for Darkstorm development team. Today I'm your host, Scott Weber. I'm the art director and co-writer of the game. And with me today is our lead programmer, Robert Ross Smith. Say hi, Rob.
Hello.
And our lead writer, Robert Fong.
Howdy.
And today we want to talk to you guys about some of the new changes going forward. We've made some big revisions in the script and some things with the gameplay that we're going to touch on lightly. So I think we are going to touch on gameplay first. And Robert, you got something to tell the people about what we're doing moving forward with the gameplay?
Alrighty. So recently, me and Scott and a couple other guys have been tweaking or playing with the idea of implementing a 3P camera for cover. We looked at a lot of Resident Evil and other games like Skyrim to just figure out the right, basis of it, and we implemented a third-person cover. That basically is you can use that, but there's also a first-person cover for leading out and just using general cover from there. So we kind of wanted to accommodate people that enjoy first-person and enjoy playing in third-person. Scott, does you want to add on that?
Yeah, like this idea kind of owes its genesis to like it was something that I had originally seeded the idea for, because along with some of the big revisions that are being made with story and with gameplay, I had pitched to Robert and Giovanni that it's gonna be, we got to do certain things to set ourselves apart in the market, because first person shooters are the most saturated genre in the games industry. And if someone was to look at just at a glance at Darkstorm, they're like, oh, it's probably just like another Call of Duty or something. So we needed to offer something different, give an experience that like you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. And so I told him, especially when it came to stealth gameplay, because that's going to be at the crux and the core of the game. I told him that it's hard to, some games do it well, but I find it kind of difficult when trying to do stealth in just first person, because you're not fully aware of your surroundings. So we wanted to pull the camera back onto third person to allow you to really take in the situation and assess it and then tackle it however you want. If you want to do it in first person, that's there for you. If you prefer sneaking and staying in third person, that's there for you too. And we've kind of plucked mechanics like the way you post up on walls is, we're doing it just like how Rainbow Six Vegas and the recent Deus Ex Human Revolution did it. So any of you guys who played that game probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's kind of like you walk up to the wall, and I think we're setting it to right click. It'll be something like that, and then the character will post up on the wall. And if you want to stay in third person, you can toggle that on and off. And as far as that goes, I think that's all that needs to be said about the new third person perspective and how it's going to tie into gameplay. Along with the focus on third person, we're doing some redesigns of enemies. Certain ones, like I will probably flash the image of it. Like I have a concept of one that I threw together called the Heavy Ivan, and basically this is just a heavy soldier that's gonna force players to be sneaky and quiet. So if this guy comes on the scene, you don't want to directly confront him, because we're gonna have it so only small firearms are going to have silencers, and then the rifles can only go loud. So these guys are going to walk in, they're going to be completely armored. You won't be able to penetrate the armor anywhere on them. The only place that you can nail a kill on them is if you hit an oxygen tank on the back. And that can only be taken out with like large caliber rounds from assault rifles. But if you do that, you'll compromise your position.
If anything, they're kind of like our type of big daddies, kind of like the enemy just kind of shows up out of anywhere, and this can be a game changer if you're not paying attention.
Just not as docile. They're going to be
Yeah.
constantly looking for you. Yeah.
They're not passive ever. If they see you and you're just causing that much of a trouble for the AI, they'll come in and just pop out of nowhere in groups, depending on how long you've been a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And we're developing side mission scenarios with this character in mind, and also going back to the drawing board when it comes to a lot of the enemy design, and like thinking about their gameplay first and then letting that inform the design. And that's something that's really cool, that I'm pretty excited about when it comes to the stealth aspect of the game. Something that we didn't have before prior. It was just going to be first person sneak, and then you're just gonna shoot your way through guys, and it just seemed kind of monotonous.
Bland.
Like, yeah, it could like we gotta offer
And,
something a little different.
and mind you, for the people that enjoy 1P, we improved the leading ability, and we basically just made it to where, I mean, if you want to lead around corners traditionally, you can. But if you enjoy being a third person, then you have that option. You know,
Mhm.
it comes down to your play style. We wanted to accommodate as many as possible.
Yeah, that I think that would be a great idea. And then, is there any other? And let me think. When it comes to, we might be taking a step back from release. Like I know in the past we've set dates before, but we're gonna kind of also adopt the usual. It'll release when it's done, but we're gonna try and shoot for maybe, what do you think? Late this year or early 2015, quarter one.
Um, we're aiming to get it sometime down in the summer, but it just depends.
Yeah,
It
don't
just
get
depends.
don't get
comes
your hopes
down to
up.
the
Like,
whole thing of we're trying to put out the best product that we can.
yeah, like because the game has been going through lots of revisions, gameplay wise, story wise, to offer an interesting and compelling narrative as well as compelling gameplay.
Indeed.
And
Uh,
the new, and like we completely redesigned the level to accommodate that. Gotten a lot bigger than it was before.
There's been a lot of changes that and just we've been playtesting it a lot internally with the team and just taking note of areas that are just not fun or poorly developed. So we've gone to the drawing board back on a lot of the sections, we've had them resketched, um, and more miscellaneous and interchangeable models made so we can populate those voids and just make sure that it's a living, breathing area and not just dull.
Yeah, exactly. One of the current initiatives we're working on is designing out Amber's living quarters inside of the facility, and we wanted it to kind of convey who she was. Like, the player can just look around her room and get an idea of who the character is before anything even starts happening. And that'll be kind of explored a little bit more in the intro sequence of the game as well. And this is actually a good segue to lead us into some of the story revisions. So let's see. Like, originally, the original script for the game, and this is the first time we'll probably be saying it on record, but I always thought it was kind of an unmitigated mess.
Yeah, that's exactly what Scott said when he like, "Oh, you got that? How did you redo it?" And I said, "Well, I had to reformat all of it, and reformatting it made the script basically doubled the script in length."
Yeah, exactly. We originally brought on Robert Fong as just to help redo dialogue, because we had a leads meeting where our VO director, Rigger
River.
River Canoff, is that his last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he like, and it was something I was always very aware of and very vocal about, that changes to the story need to be made, but he had said like the dialogue is so drab and bland that we need to rewrite it, and I offered Robert Fong here because I know the guy personally, and at the time we had begun working on a Star Wars audio drama that we're kind of put to the side to work on this project right now. But
Yeah,
I
and
had oh,
and
go.
this all happened about like the beginning of December is when you and I started working on our side project,
Yeah,
and then Scott just started telling me, it's like, hey, yeah, I asked him how the project was going. He's, oh, it's going good, it's good. And then he said, like, I don't know if we have a writer. And I was like, what do you don't know if you have a writer? He's like, I know we have a script, but I don't know if they're doing anything about it, blah blah blah. And he told me a few things. Like, he told me the about the character, and he's like, I don't know about the dialogue. She feels really flat. She doesn't seem like she's a character at all.
that was another spooky moment that I hadn't even thought about before. But when I was pitching the idea to Rob, and he's like, okay, like, so who is Amber? Like, what is it? What makes her her? And I was like, she's like, oh, because based on the original script, she was just like a basic stereotype. Like, she was just gonna go nuts, and she didn't feel like a real person. And that's something that we're really trying to bring to the character and make her feel alive and like someone that's easy to relate to.
I guess Scott, he told me about the opening scene that they were gonna have, which was pretty cool, the way he said it, and then told me about not really knowing who Amber was, and I was like, well, show some depth. I told him a few things, and I basically pitched him idea for the new opening for the script, and he's like, "Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I'm gonna tell him about that." And this was when I wasn't even working on the Darkstorm project yet. And the next day he said, "Yeah, I told it to him. I told your name, and it's like, you want to sign a contract and work?" And I was like, "Sure." And then the next day I was writing.
And like, be honest about that part, Robert. Like, were you like, when I told you guys, I'm like, I have a writer, you guys were just like, yeah, you and Giovanni, like, bring him in. Like, you guys were just looking for a warm body.
Whatever do you
Like,
mean?
sign him, make him sign the NDA. That's great. Yeah.
Well, I have to say the changes he did were great, because what we had before, I gotta agree, there just wasn't enough character development. So
So hopefully that'll like, all this will translate when you guys get your hands on the final product. Cool. And if we do our job right, hopefully you'll actually have an emotional connection and get invested in the story.
well, that is the goal.
That is the goal, yeah. And that was well, we can't talk about that right now. That's some story stuff that's kind of top secret at the moment. So basically that leads us into the final part of this story, where just on this Friday, beginning of this weekend, our lead voice actress Amanda Lee decided to leave the project, citing that the major revisions that we were doing to the script didn't gel with her style of recording, I suppose. She said that like she's very busy at this time, and usually she's used to working with a completed script and just doing her dialogue out. But the way our creation of the project has been going, it's kind of bumpy in this beginning stage. But the revisions kind of spooked her, I guess, and just said she left on good terms. Just said she won't be able to keep up with the project. And yeah, so we wish Amanda luck in any of her future endeavors. But that means that we have a spot open for the lead character in this prologue section. So we're going to post job listings and have casting calls.
Actually, 2 positions opened up.
Oh yeah, for 2 positions, because we ended up writing her younger sister into this story, because that's something that's gonna have a payoff later in the series.
Later on in the later chapters.
Yeah. So both for her and her sister. So we'll post those job listings up for that. And I guess like when it comes to Amber, let's see, we have her. She's 27 years old. She was born in Denver, Colorado. We kind of felt like she has like this sort of tomboy quality to her.
It's because she her military background, just the people that she's grown up with and that she had to bond with during her time, gave her the very tomboyish sort of personality.
Yeah, she's a military brat, and we wanted that to like kind of reflect in her personality and the way you deliver the lines when you deliver the lines. But we don't want to influence your guys' line reads too much. We want to see what you can bring to the character, because that's always very exciting.
Yeah, and when you do respond to the job posting application and everything like that, we'll have select lines from our script and maybe different scripts for you to go over, and you'll be able to read those and then come up with a little bit of a personality that you think would best portray Amber.
And then the link to this news post, you can find at the bottom where to go and apply on the job ad or NEDB. We'll be posting it on NEDB shortly. It should be at the same exact time that this article goes up on NEDB, but if it's not, the link should become active within about 2 hours of posting. So if you're interested, please go ahead and send us in your reel.
So awesome. I'm looking forward to these.
Did you want to talk about the addition of River Catoff to voiceover?
Like, introduce River?
Yeah.
How new is River?
He's been on the team. He just
since October?
We've had him since almost. We got him at the same time we got you, Scott.
Oh, really? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was retro.
He's just been in hibernation. If you don't know who River Canoff is, he worked on Dust, Elusian Tale. He worked on Heroes of Neverwith, and Rival Threads Last Class Heroes. He's been around the scene in indie and commercial games for quite a while, and he's taken over as basically our voice director. Let's see what else is there. We have some co-op news coming up. We've been playtesting internally with the team for the past 2 months, on and off. We've had a couple of builds so far, and things are looking really promising. We're gonna have five clashes initially, 5 classes. We're only gonna announce 4 right here in this video. Actually, make that we'll only announce 3 actually. We're gonna have the assault, the support, and the recon. And each one will have their own respective abilities. There will be 2 others that we're going to announce later on, and they'll kind of just come in to build the last the last other 2 playstyles people could have sometimes. Let's see. We're looking to have playtesting on NADB sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. It just depends on how the single player progresses, and once I get to the part to where it becomes self-sufficient, then a good portion of the modelers will be able to go and work on the co-op and get that island completed. But the most of all the playtesting we've been doing is just stress tests for the code and for the servers, and just making sure that everything kind of carries over the code base from the single player to the co-op. And we do have a multiplayer mode per se in planning, but that will probably be in development until we finish all 5 chapters of the actual game. Is there anything else you want to interject, Scott?
No, I think that covers everything. You, Rob?
Yeah. What do you think, Fong?
No, I think that's just about it.
Okay.
I guess that's gonna wrap it up for us here at Darkstorm Dev Doc. Thanks for joining us, and meet us up next times, and we'll have another one for you soon, I hope, guys, because we're gonna try and do these more often. So watch your step, because there's a Darkstorm coming. See you later, guys.